This is Taya Graham reporting for the Real News Network in Baltimore City, Maryland. Today, we witnessed justice for Jerome Johnson, who was released from prison after 30 years of incarceration for a murder he did not commit. It's a scene outside Baltimore's Mitchell Courthouse that has become all too familiar. Another African-American man set free after spending several decades in jail for a crime he didn't commit. His name is Jerome Johnson. In 1988, he was wrongly convicted of shooting and killing a man inside a Baltimore liquor store. But since then, a key witness has proven unreliable, and the person who actually pulled the trigger signed an affidavit that Johnson was not the shooter nor present when the crime occurred.
Today, we stand in unison in pursuit of justice to announce the exoneration of Mr. Jerome Johnson, a man who has served more than 29 years of his life in prison for a murder he did not commit.
Adding to the exonerating evidence were several witnesses who provided an alibi for Johnson, which is why today prosecutors dropped the charges against Johnson during a brief hearing, and he emerged a free man.
All four eyewitnesses ultimately identified the shooter as Alvin Hill, who was rightfully convicted and sentenced to life. However, we now believe the sole eyewitness that implicated the involvement and presence of Mr. Johnson, which ultimately led to his conviction and incarceration of 29 years, was mistaken in their identification.
The long process that led to Johnson's release started with a series of 15 separate appeals, and finally a push from the Mid-Atlantic Innocence Project, which prompted State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby to drop the charges.
The result of the reinvestigation revealed that newly gathered exculpatory indirect and direct evidence that supports that Jerome Johnson was not present at the scene of this murder.
But this is not the first time a man has walked out of Mitchell Courthouse after being freed for a crime he didn't commit. The Real News was there when another man, Lamar Johnson, was released after serving 14 years for a murder he didn't commit.
I'm just so blessed right now, and it's a wonderful feeling.
In 2004, he was charged and later convicted in the shooting death of Carlos Sawyer based on the testimony of 2 teen witnesses. It was another failure of the justice system that Lamar Johnson said needed serious reform.
I was treated like an animal in there, right? I was treated like an animal in there, right? It's rough in there. It's rough.
And that actually do save lives, as we know this jury don't always get it right.
But after decades of struggle to clear his name, today Jerome Johnson has one simple request.
Excuse me?
What's the first thing you want to do?
I think I'm going to get me a home-cooked meal. I think I'm going to do that.
I don't blame you.
A step towards normalcy for a man who has endured a lifetime of injustice. This is Taya Graham and Stephen Janis reporting for the Real News Network in Baltimore City, Maryland.